This is Help Wanted, the show that makes your work for you. I'm Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine.
And I'm money expert Nicole Lappin. On Tuesdays, Jason and I answer the helpline and help callers solve their work problems.
And on Thursdays, I give you one way to improve your work and build a career or company you love.
And it starts now.
Can you believe that it is February already? You know, every year this happens. Like January flies by and then I'm already in February. 1/12 of the year is already gone. And I always have the same thought, which is time moves too fast. There's too much I want to do in this life, too much to see, too much to experience. And whatever unknowable amount of time I have left, another month, another year of it just seems to go poof. I'm sure you relate. In short, we want more time. And I have good news. It's possible, in a way. I called a scientist who studies memory, and I learned a mind-blowing thing. Our memories are deeply tied to our sense of time. So if you want more time, here is the simplest thing that you can do. Create more memories. Today, I will explain what that means, why it works, and how this year can be even richer, more memorable, and feel longer in the best way than the last one. But first, let's understand our brains. Our brains are a lot of things, but here are two things that they are not. Number one, our brains are not clocks. We have no internal clock or calendar, which is why we cannot remember if something happened in last February or 2018, Instead, we perceive time through what's called episodic memory, which is to say that our brains organize memories into sequences, which we then use as reference points for when other things happened. But this is tricky because, number two, our brains aren't a hard drive. We are not built to remember everything. In fact, our brains are primarily a deletion device, clearing out most things to make room for the important stuff. So given all that, how do we remember anything? And how do we know when anything happened? The answer is this. Memory is extraordinarily sensitive to breakings of events. That is a direct quote. Memory is extraordinarily sensitive to breakings of events. And I heard it from Philippe Debrugard, a professor at Duke University's Institute for Brain Sciences. This is what he told me when I interviewed him about memory. And here's what this means. Your ordinary days blur together because your brain saw nothing worth remembering. If today that you're listening to this episode, if today you just didn't do anything new or different, you're not really going to remember what you did today. Like maybe by the end of the day or tomorrow, you just won't remember. But when you do something unusual, your brain forms a memory more easily. And those memories become how we mark time. Philippe Debrugard calls this segmenting. It is a survival instinct. Our brain filters out redundant information that might overwhelm us and prioritizes new things that help us learn and adapt faster. Early humans didn't need to recall every hunt that they went on, for example, because, it was just another hunt. But they definitely did need to remember seeing enemies or new food sources, which is new information that can really impact them. So now flash forward to our modern times. This is why when you travel, like on days when you travel, your days feel unusually long. I'm sure you've had this, you wake up in the morning, you go to the airport, you fly somewhere, and at the end of the day, you're like, did I wake up this morning and go to the airport? It feels like it was days ago. And this is also why time seems to move slower during your first day on a job. When more unique things happen, more segments of memory are created, which become reference points, which stretch your sense of time. Now, here's how to use this to your advantage. I spoke to Philippe a few years ago when I was researching my book. It's called Build for Tomorrow. At the end of our conversation, he asked me this. He said, "What life do you prefer? One in which you can have 50 experiences per week but won't remember any, or one in which you have 25 new experiences and remember them all?" That question was like a revelation to me, and it gave me an idea. Now, whenever I am deciding between sameness and newness, between doing something ordinary this day or doing something new, I ask myself, which choice will I remember more? For example, a few months ago, I heard from a work friend named Chris. We had never actually met in person. She lives far away, and so we've just collaborated basically by email and phone like anybody else. But she was traveling to Brooklyn, where I live, and she asked me if I would take a mid-afternoon archery lesson with her, which was just a random, fun way to finally meet. I'll be honest, my first instinct was to say no to this because my days are jammed with work and it seemed irresponsible to step away for archery. But then I imagined how memorable my choices would be. If I said no, I would stay home, finish some task, and maybe answer a bunch of emails, and I would not remember having done any of this. If I said yes, I would try archery for the first time, get to know Chris a little better, and remember what I did that day, even though, all right, fine, I would have some more work to do later. So I said yes, and I'm glad I did. That happened nearly a year ago at this point, but I still remember it clearly. My day, month, and year, and frankly life, just felt a little longer and fuller as a result. So, what will you remember? Obviously, we cannot say yes to everything. We have work to do and tasks to perform. Some of it will be rote and unmemorable. Time is going to slip us by. But I urge you, as I now urge myself, optimize for what you will remember. I love Philippe's term for this, segmentation. You can imagine time stretching out before you like an endless path of sameness. You walk this path, you walk it every day, but you are carrying a machete. Every time you do something new, you swing that machete down on this path of sameness and you create a segment along the path. It is your marker in time. And the more marks you make, the more memories you make, and the longer your path will feel. The more I think about this, the bolder I become. I want to say yes to the new experience. I want to say yes to the unexpected conversation. I want to swing that machete hard, repeatedly, relentlessly, like my life literally depends on it. Because segmentation just might be the closest thing that we have to cheating death. In other words, we cannot stretch time, but we can stretch our experience of it. And that came from my newsletter. As regular listeners know, I write a newsletter. It is called One Thing Better. Each week, how to be more successful and satisfied and build a career or company you love. I read them here on Help Wanted every Thursday, about a month or two after they come out in the inbox. So if you want to get my newsletters right when they come out, along with all sorts of cool other things that I put in that newsletter, then you just subscribe to onethingbetter.email. That is a web address, plug it into a browser, onethingbetter.email, and or stay tuned here on Help Wanted because I always read them here. And, maybe go read my newsletter or listen to this podcast while taking a walk to an interesting place or doing something weird, something you will remember. Help Wanted is a production of Money News Network. Help Wanted is hosted by me, Jason Pfeiffer.
And me, Nicole Lappin. Our executive producer is Morgan Lavoie. If you want some help, email our helpline at helpwanted@moneynewsnetwork.com for the chance to have some of your questions answered on the show. And follow us on Instagram at Money News and TikTok at Money News Network for exclusive content and to see our beautiful faces. Maybe a little dance.
Oh, I didn't sign up for that.
All right, well, talk to you soon.